Welcome to SWOLE Sunday, the best day of the week. I'm Jeff McBiceps, that's me. And I am excited for the stream. I'm really excited. You may have noticed that sadly we skipped tonight's fan service shot. And there's a good reason for that. There's a good reason I skipped the fan service shot. Tonight is not about my muscles. Every other day of the week it's about my muscles. But not tonight. Tonight is all about the muscles of other people, and that's why we're all here. We're going to be looking at the subreddit for bodybuilding. We're going to go over all the top posts, and we're going to do the same for subreddit fitness if bodybuilding subreddit is not enough time to fill all the space required to have longer than, I don't know, a couple minutes. Vi, how are you? Good to see you again. And then, yeah, there's going to be some Olympia discussion. It just so happens that the biggest bodybuilding event of the year wrapped up yesterday night, conveniently right before the first ever SWOLE Sunday. So, you know, I have it as its own little separate category here, but really that's going to be pretty much laced into the entire stream. Before we get started, my webcam, I have a little cover for it. It's a little flap. It keeps it so that you're not visible when you're not using it, and I love it so much. This webcam is only maybe 2 weeks old. And I went to open it up for the stream today, and I just ripped the damn thing right off. So it's kind of sitting there precariously, and I'm pretty upset about it. So that's why you're hearing about it. But without further ado, there's a lot of news in the bodybuilding world today, and I can't wait any longer to get into it. So let's go ahead and open that right up. Let's go take a look. SWOLE Sunday. I'm gonna give it a quick scrolly check just to make sure what you're seeing is the same as what I'm seeing. It is. Good start. Good start. So. Yesterday, Mr. Olympia finals for the two biggest categories anyways. I'm not sure how many people who are watching follow the Olympia the same way that I do, but pretty much the two biggest categories, the two most popular categories for fans. There's the Open, which is where you see the biggest guys, and you're going to see a lot of attention for that. And there's the Classic, and the Classic is a bit of a newer category at this point. And that's for the people who kind of lost interest in this big, blocky look that became associated with the open bodybuilding. Damn right I'm too strong for my own good. You should see the doorways in my house. That's pretty much for the people who got sick of the big, blocky look and really liked that aesthetic, like 80s. When you think about like Arnold Schwarzenegger himself, that era of bodybuilders, that's kind of what the Classic is trying to recreate. And there's probably going to be some other divisions mixed in here. We might see a bit of 212, which is just a weight-classed Olympia. But the point of SWOLE Sunday is to check out muscles, and I've been dying to do this all weekend long. I've been watching keeping up with the Olympia, and I need to discuss it with somebody, and that's you guys. So first of all, right here at the very top, let's start here. Big Ramy. We had a new winner at the Mr. Olympia this year, which was so exciting. I'm a huge Ramy fan. He's the most wholesome guy. You watch him, you just know he's just a big lovable dude. The criticism with Ramy every single year has always been, you know, he's big Ramy. He comes in well over 300 pounds every single Olympia, and he's huge. But when you're standing on stage with a bunch of guys whose job is to look as ripped as possible, being huge isn't the whole equation. You have to come in, you have to be just as ripped as they are. And that's always been a big criticism of Ramy, is he always had that potential because he has so much size. He has big, built right into his nickname. But the conditioning, it was never there. This year, Ramy came in, we're going to see a lot of him, he's all over the Reddit today. Ramy came in friggin' ripped. I was blown away when I was seeing pictures of Rami this year. So it was a very well-deserved win for Rami, in my opinion. I was super excited to see it, at the very least. I know a lot of people were. He won the People's Choice Award too, so, you know, the majority of the fans, at minimum, were excited about this. But this is just the victory pose. We're going to see a whole bunch of pictures of him actually throughout the event, which is, you know, how he got to this point. But, you know, congratulations to him. Unbelievable. Looked absolutely insane. Left humanity behind completely. So that was crazy. Next post on Hot right now. Kai Green didn't compete this year. Kai Green hasn't competed for... Okay, now we're just looking at some wholesome video of making sure everyone's all included. This is an old clip. Kai last competed, what, 2016? It's been a while. I mean, there's nothing... We can talk about the fact that they're all hugging it out and how nice it is, but there's nothing exciting from this weekend in this clip. Time has taken its toll. Okay. I see what's going on. Okay, so, this is another story from this Olympia. The man in this picture, 10 years apart, this is Phil Heath. Phil is a 7-time Mr. Olympia winner. He's one of the best of all time. And, this might, I mean, I think this might be a little bit harsh. This is 10 years apart. How much do people age in 10 years? Look at the size of him, right? Isn't it crazy? But Phil has taken 2 years off of professional bodybuilding. He lost in 2018, I think. And then he had some surgeries to fix some stuff that was going on with his midsection. He had an out-of-control midsection. You might have seen some pictures of bodybuilders where like it looks like they have a volleyball for a stomach. That's kind of what was going on with Phil. But he had like hernias, so I don't blame the guy. And this was his return this year. The guy who won last year has been dealing with criticism for the entire year of, oh, well, you probably only won because Phil wasn't there. And so this was the big event. Phil was coming back, and we got to compare last year's winner and Phil and see what did the guy earn his title last year, pretty much. And Phil came in, his midsection was a lot better. I give Phil a lot of credit. It's got to be hard to get the midsection back under control. And the guy is still huge. I mean, he's an absolute monster. Look at his arms, look at his shoulders, look at his traps. I mean, really. But yeah, Phil got third this year. It was expected that it would be Brandon Curry, last year's winner, and Phil were talked about coming in 1 and 2, and that didn't wind up happening. They got second and third with Big Rami, who I mentioned, who we just saw a bit ago, getting first place. So Phil, I mean, I think it's harsh to judge a guy over 10 years, especially when aging starts and you've had surgeries. I think, all things considered, Phil is still a monster. He still looks amazing. And I hope... I mean, some people are kind of hoping that Phil steps down. I hope we see Phil come back. I think that having a guy like him, a 7-time winner, is so good for the competition. And if he managed to bring it back and win number 8 after getting third this year, I think that would almost be a bigger story than coming back after the surgeries. By the way, forgot to mention, I got my protein shake here. I got 2 scoops of s'mores flavor. Tomorrow the gym's open back up. I gotta be ready. Gotta get my protein in. Get a little bit of creatine in there. So, if you guys got your protein ready, you know, feel free to casually sip it like wine as we study all of these huge bodies. The roar of a new king, huh? Yeah. I mean, this is what it is. It was a picture taken the moment Rami found out that he won. He's been trying for how many years? It's the moment of celebration. Exactly. Like, 10 years apart. Imagine keeping up that kind of body for 10 whole years. But yeah, Rami, I mean, look at the guy's legs. Look at the size of the man's legs. That's unbelievable. The serratus, you can see, it's too much. Again, this isn't a competition photo. This isn't him. I mean, I guess technically, yes, he's posing, but this was taken mid, like, fist pump. I'm excited to get into seeing them actually showing off a little bit here. You know, Brandon, I feel sad for him. I think it would have been really good for him to defend his title back-to-back years after facing the amount of nonsense he faced in the last year. But he did beat Phil. He got second, Phil got third. So even though he didn't win this year, and that sucks, you know, he did kind of prove, you know, I'm ahead of Phil. I didn't just win because Phil wasn't there. I would have won if Phil was there too. Because Rami, I don't think would have looked like this last year if he was participating. Congratulations, Brandon. Oh, hey, look at that. I just said that. But let's click it anyways. Let's look at Brandon Curry. This is last year's winner, second place. I mean, come on. Look at it. The fact that this was a very, very good Olympia this year. The fact that we're looking at a man who looks like this, and that's not first place, says a lot about the quality of the division. Because, I mean, you can see almost every single line on the guy. Like, he somehow manages to get the, like, juiced up look, like, the full look, and also the shredding at the same time. Like, look at his abs. They're somehow round and flat at the same time. How do you do that? I don't know. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, he looked amazing. The flow in his body is incredible. Like, he's got a good V-taper. He doesn't have an out-of-control waist at all. The waists, you know, for how many years ago was it? Like 3-4 years ago? The midsection was, like, that bulbous midsection was plaguing bodybuilding. And the fact that all these guys are coming around who've kept it under control, all these guys who had it, got it back under control, it makes it so much more appealing. You know, I think a big reason the Classic division took off the way it did was because people were so sick of those midsections. And now, Classic kind of exists in its own category still, which is incredibly pleasing to look at too. But this is so much better. This looks incredible. So again, you know, this is second. This is second place. That's absolutely crazy. Chris Bumstead wins again. There it is. That's a little bit small. Can I? You know, it's still fine. There'll be better pictures of Chris. You know, big congrats to Chris. I don't think there was a doubt in anyone's mind once they were all on stage together. When Chris hits this pose, and he vacuums in his midsection, and it becomes like the size of my pinky finger, with lats as wide as he has. It's just hard to compete with that. These are, you know, it's handy having the top 5 in one picture like this. Rough Diesel, second place. That was huge, and I'm excited for him. He looked amazing. He's not a guy I followed as much before the Olympia, but he came in. The lines between his abs, I'm telling you, like I could like stick quarters in there and they would have stuck. Like, that was crazy. But Chris, I mean, the guy, exactly. Like, this was gonna be like SWOLE Sunday. I love playing the penalty games on stream. You know, like 1 death equals 1 push-up, and I wasn't gonna do that tonight because I mean we're just browsing Reddit. There's no deaths, there's no failures. But I'm gonna go so friggin' hard the moment I'm done this stream. Like, no one's ready. Gym's open tomorrow. I'm gonna be back in there. Gonna fit so much into my hour and a half that I have. But yeah, we'll see better pictures of Chris. Chris looked incredible. I mean, the guy. Olympia scoring is like golf. There's 5 judges, and the lower your score is, if they think you're first, you get 1 point, and so on. Chris got 5 points. 5 judges, each of them, they all had him in first. Unanimous first place. You know, he makes it look easy. He came in unbelievable this year. Everyone said that his back and biceps would hold him back, and he brought them both up so much in 1 year. So, retained his title, 2-time Classic Mr. Olympia now. Absolutely deserved. I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's minds. Oh, where was I? Mr. Olympia. Haven't been blown away by this. There it is. Okay, here we go. Now we got some more posing going on. So there's Big Rami, Mr. Olympia this year. Absolute monster. I just want you to take a look. Take a look down here at his leg. And how many lines are in this man's leg? Look at his glutes. There are lines sweeping in. I didn't know there were muscles that look like that, even. Let me get my mouse out of the way. Like, ignoring the outrageous upper body on this man and the absolute size of this guy. His leg is incredible. I don't know. It's hard to say anything negative about Ramy this year. I think his lats, the lower lats, need a bit more development, but he's got a whole year to work on that now. I don't think anything else needs to change. The guy is just, he's a monster. He brought it this year. He looks so outrageously dry. Like, there's not an ounce of water weight in this man. I can't, like, I'm just gonna sit here and look at it for a bit. I'm gonna sip my protein shake like a scholar. Right? Like, who needs... Exactly. He's a living muscle diagram. And this isn't even, like, Ramy, he has that combination of being huge and just shredded this year. Wait till you see the 4th place guy. Right? He looks like the Olympia statue. Wait till you see the 4th place guy, though. Guy who got 4th, ridiculous. He definitely could have made top 3, top 2. He was on the scorecards, the guy who got 4th. We're definitely going to see him. He was voted... His leg is like a walnut, it is. Guy who got 4th was voted 2nd in finals, but he just lost points in everything leading up to finals that didn't get him to the final place. But yeah, Ramy, he... Unspoken... That's not a picture of him. That's not muscles. We'll get there. You know, again, here's the same guy from a different perspective. We're looking at him from the front now. You can see the guy's huge. It's not the most flattering photo of his face, I'd say. But he's flattering in literally every photo, so what do you want from him? But I mean, what else can I say here that I haven't said already? The guy's... Look at his... Like, this is his back muscles, back here. Like, his back is perpendicular with the floor. Parallel with the floor, sorry. Like, there is a line on his back muscle that is straight sideways. How big does your back have to be for your muscle to go sideways when it should go up and down? That's absurd. Look at this, like... Look at the space between his abs. He has so little anything on him that everywhere where an ab isn't is just like sucked in. It's just gone. Craziness. Look at the leg. Look at this bulge right here, the teardrop. Imagine walking around with legs this big. How do you even like do you have to like bow your legs like outwards as you step? I can't even coordinate it. Ridiculous. Huge. So impressive this year. Unbelievable Olympia. I was so hyped. You know, here's the scorecards, but I mean, we can't look at a scorecard and get pumped about muscles. Straight from Egypt. Yeah, Big Ramy, Egyptian, by the way, representing Egypt this year. I mean, again, we're gonna be seeing the same guy a lot. He was the winner. There's a reason he won, and there's a reason everyone's excited about it. But this is just unreal. He's literally a bronze god. Like, he doesn't look like he's made of human here. It looks like someone just, like, took some metal and chiseled the man. Imagine having, like, a bicep to forearm ratio like this. Imagine standing with your forearm out and your bicep is just, like, 3 times the width. It's like he has a whole extra forearm on top of his arm, where his bicep is. Oh, he's so good. I get so excited. Oh my gosh. Oh, this gets me so pumped seeing these guys like this. He nailed it this year. Right? Look, he looks like that, doesn't he? I've seen a few videos putting him with the JoJo music behind him. What's that song called? Arnold Classic versus Mr. Olympia. Okay, I saw this picture earlier. I was refreshing the bodybuilding page every 5 or so seconds last night, waiting for results. We already saw this picture. They're comparing it to a picture from earlier in the year. Honestly, I don't think this does a very good job showing how much better he looked at this show. The lighting is completely different, the pose isn't the same. So, like, I think the biggest takeaway is he's always big. He's Big Ramy. It's his name. And that's all there is to say about that, really. Okay, here we go. We get some more classic now. Oh, right to... Okay, perfect. I'm gonna wait for the stream to catch up because I want to make sure this page isn't set up quite the same way Reddit is. I want to make sure you can still see these guys. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna sip my protein shake again. Okay, stream's caught up. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, these two guys. Here is Chris Bumstead rocking the porn stash. Here's Breon Ansley. These two have been classic bodybuilding for the last 3 years. 2 years ago, 2 Olympias ago, before this one, Breon won. Chris got second. And the difference between them was 1 point. And like I mentioned earlier, the way the scoring works is, you know, if you get first, you get 1 point by that judge. If you get second, you get 2 points. So the fact they were 1 point apart means that one judge was the difference, saying Breon was first, Chris is second, and that was the difference. 2 judges for Chris, 2 for Breon, 1 more for Breon. That was 2 years ago. Last year, Chris won by 1 point, so it was the exact same situation, flipped. Chris had 3 of the judges say that guy was first. Breon had 2. And Breon has been showing up all off season. He's been training. You can see that they have their stomachs sucked in, that vacuum pose. Breon trained the vacuum this last year to compete with Chris, and Breon looks amazing. And Chris brought up all of his weak points. His back improved like crazy. His biceps. You know, you wouldn't look at this picture and think that last year people were saying Chris's biceps were terrible. But Chris brought everything up, and I think that was the big difference, was Breon improved, but Chris really improved. And when you give a guy the Mr. Olympia title, and he goes off for a year, and he stays in touch with the fans, he's interactive, and he improves dramatically. I don't think there's a reason that man shouldn't retain his title, and Chris did retain his title. Is there more pictures? Yeah, look at that. The controversial part is Breon, despite improving, got 3rd this year, which was unexpected. There was this moment in the finals, in the judging, where Breon and Chris, they were kind of too close together, they were butting elbows a bit, and the judges switched Breon out of the middle of the lineup with the guy who got second in the end. And it makes me think, maybe the judges were seeing this early on, so they put that second place guy in there to get that good comparison. Because they kind of figured maybe he was going to get second anyways. But, I mean, look at the size difference in the legs. There's a bit more definition in Breon's quad. Chris, I think, has more size. But Chris has more definition in the glutes, which, I mean, it is what it is. 2 completely different styles of body. I know, this is such a nice pose. And these guys make it look so good, too. Can you believe Breon is 40? I think Chris is 25. Breon is 40 years old. The guy looks the same age as Chris. He looks amazing. Imagine looking that good at the age of 40. I hope I look that good when I'm 40 years old. Unbelievable. But the big story is what's going to happen next year. Is Breon going to come back to Classic? He's right at the weight cap for his height for Classic. Is he going to go up to 212? Some people think he won't do good in 212. I think he'll be fine. I think the guy looks amazing. But I think Chris very well deservedly retained his title. I think he killed it this year. He came in absolutely unstoppable. They're so good to look at, I don't want to close the tab. Don't make me close the tab, I closed it. Hey, I was just talking about Chris. Yeah, 40. I was just talking about Chris bringing up his weak points. The back and biceps that everyone was criticizing him for. This is 1 year apart for Chris. Typically, when you hit the very top of your game, you don't make drastic improvements like this in the span of a year. Normally, it's a bigger time frame than that. Look at the difference that Chris made in 1 year in his back. That's crazy. Look how much wider he is. Like, you can see, like, this muscle here. You can see that line? There's the same one. Look at the thickness of this muscle in 2019. And look at the same thickness of that muscle 2020. And especially the part that's coming down under here. It's almost flat in 2019. It's like it's bulging out in 2020. Also, this is a side note. I notice this on everyone when they're this lean. But doesn't the hamstring muscle look so friggin' weird? Right? The guy looks like he could just take off. He doesn't need wings to fly. He just needs to spread his lats. Off he goes. With too strong of a gust of wind? Sorry, Chris. See ya back in Canada. Craziness. Absolute craziness. And the biceps, too. Actually, you know what? You can't see the bicep difference too well in this picture. Glide by T-posing, really. Okay, I'm glad that this one is here. This isn't the kind of photo I was hoping for, actually. Here's the top 4 for the men's open, though. I was mentioning the 4th place guy earlier. Here he is here, Hadi Chupin from Iran. This isn't the best photo of the night for him. There's somewhere, like, this guy is by a mile the most shredded guy on that stage, and it's not even close. I think if Phil doesn't come back, I think Phil should come back, but if Phil doesn't come back and there's not as much, I don't think the judges were really biased this year. I really don't. I think a criticism of the Olympia judges is letting politics come into it. Stuff like, oh, Phil's 7-time winner, he has to be top 3. I mean, look at Phil's shoulder. I think he's still a top 3 competitor. I just think this top 4 is so incredibly close. Like I was saying earlier, the scoring, all 5 judges had Ramy first place. For the finals, which is judged separate from the rest of the event, all 5 judges had Hadi Chupin in 2nd place. The problem was he didn't have low enough points from before the finals to get into the top 3. But he looked incredible too. Like, this top 4 had me so hyped every time these guys were standing next to each other. You know, it's the dream come true for bodybuilder fans to see something like this, where who's gonna win? It could be any of these 4, and you know what? Let me rephrase that. Definitely Ramy. Ramy was 100% the winner. I think if Ramy didn't win, there would have been controversy. But I think you could have, at the very least, make an argument for anyone up here. Sometimes the Olympia is just a runaway. Some guy runs away with it. You know, you already know who's going to win from the very first night. Ramy was impressive. I think part of me was caught up in the Brandon versus Phil hype that I wasn't sure if it was possible, despite liking the way he looked best. But I'm also permanently biased because I'm a big Ramy fan. The same way I'm a big Hadi Chupin fan. I was disappointed to see him out of top 3. But again, 4 incredible looking guys. Look at the striations everywhere. Look at Phil, like, look at the ab bumps. I can see the screen between his abs, between, like, the bulges in his abs in the background. Like, the criticism for Phil is always his midsection if it's round, like if it's kind of outwards, but it doesn't mean it's not defined. It's not like he's carrying fat. It's just, it is what it is. It's just a shape thing. Oh man, this is so good. Why is the classic physique prize money pathetic? I don't know. Those guys look amazing. I think we've seen this picture already. Yeah, we saw a better quality version of this. Chris looking absolutely no weak point lefted. I mean, we looked at Chris already too. The guy's beautiful. Look at that back. Take a drink to that. You want to know how you know someone is huge? You take a photo of them from behind, and you can see their chest. Let me zoom in on this. How do I zoom in? Zoom in, please. Oh no, it made the ad bigger. It didn't make the photo bigger. Like, you can see, here's his shoulder, here's his traps, and, like, this part here, that's the top of his chest. You can see the man's chest from behind. That's absurd. I know that Chris posted a lot of pictures this off-season where he had this huge upper chest, trying to mimic that Arnold look a little bit, where Arnold's chest was huge too. But when you can see it from behind, when you're doing a back pose, you know, there's how do you compete with that? Big Ramy wins. This doesn't look like a photo. No, it's just literally that. That's a YouTube video. We're not gonna watch someone else's YouTube videos on YouTube. Yeah, this is what I was saying. Some people don't know what Breon's doing next year. I think he's mentioned wanting to do Classic again. I can't imagine he's happy after third, especially coming in like this. Again, like I was saying for Brandon earlier, if this is the physique that gets third, what a good spot the division is in. Because the guy looks incredible. Again, 40 years old. Look at those teeth. Those are some bright white teeth. But I think he should be going for it again. I think he would do fine in 212 as well. I don't think he'd retire. I mean, look at the shape this guy is in. He's not old enough to retire from bodybuilding. I don't think he's degrading. He's still improving, so there's no way the guy should retire. But yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. He came in better. It's just hard to compete when a guy is tall with the dramatic shape that Chris has. It's hard. Chris, oh, more Chris progress. Oh, I see we have a hottie post too. I can't wait for that. 30 at most? I know, it's crazy. The guy found the fountain of youth and he's keeping it from us. I already talked a bit about Chris's back improvement. But again, I mean, it's craziness how he's improved. And remember what I was saying about his chest. Look, you can't see his chest here. You can see the divot, neck down to shoulder, like a normal human being. I say normal, not at all normal. He does not look normal at all. But this is ridiculous. Okay, but I want to talk about Hottie. Let's talk about Hottie Chupin. Okay, this is what I was talking about. This is the photo I was hoping we'd see, where I was saying that this is finals now. So this is where the judges voted this guy in the blue in the middle to be second place. Look at the lines on this man. Like, he doesn't have as many lines as Ramy does in the legs. But look at all this. Look at his midsection. Look at his chest. Like, you can see, like, the color difference at every indent in his body is so dramatic. Like, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I understand why they had him second in finals, because, you know, like, this is a fantastic body. Brandon looked great last night. I don't think Brandon was off by any means. I think this was just competitive. But when you put up a guy who has this kind of shredding, like, he even makes Ramy look a bit unconditioned in the side here. And part of that is Ramy's size. Like, you can see how much bigger he is. He's got a bigger angle that he's using here. Like, I think Hottie's significantly shorter. And maybe that kind of hurt Hottie a bit, being so much shorter. When Ramy plays the mass game so well, you look smaller by comparison just being next to the guy. Another thing I'm noticing in this picture, though, look over here. Phil legitimately has underpec. Like, his pec comes down and then goes back up before it reaches his body. Like, there's an indent here underneath his chest. He has underpec. like, it really shows you. Like, people criticize Phil saying his midsection is out of control, and there are times where it might look like it, and I agree. And I don't think that the round midsection belongs in bodybuilding at all, because we're trying to find the most impressive physiques. But he has underpec. I mean, Ramy has a bit of underpec too, but jeez. Looks cel-shaded? It really does. He doesn't look real. Like, this doesn't look human. This looks altered, and that's just how he looked on a live stream, even. Imagine what he looked like in person. I want to see some of those, like, HD photographs like we saw of Ramy for Hottie. I think I would want to see that. Unbelievable. I don't want to close this either. We already saw a Phil Heath comparison post. I'm going to do page 2. I feel like normally Swole Sunday will be page 1, but it's Olympia weekend, and I think there's more than enough here to keep looking at. I mean, page 2 looks just as good. This is a little bit sad. Regan Grimes, if you just ignore Big Ramy standing right here, there's nothing wrong with Regan Grimes' physique. His neck is a little bit thin compared to the rest of his body and his head. But outside of that, I mean, the guy's perfectly fine. Like, 99% of the world would kill to look like that. But he got the unfortunate reality of standing next to Big Ramy for the early prejudging. And it is what it is, I guess. I would hate to be the guy who qualifies for the Olympia, and the moment you get on stage, they're like, you're standing next to our largest man, by the way, and the eventual winner. So, unlucky for Regan Grimes. I think he finished, I don't remember where he finished. I think it was above 10th place, though. That's just going to be more scorecard stuff. Phil's gut is still pretty out of control. That's pretty small. I mean, it doesn't look terrible here. We saw these photos already, though, for the most part. I mean, you can see a bit of roundness, if you can see that. I know it's even smaller for you than it is for me. So I won't spend any time here. If there's ever a sequel for the Green Mile movie, I think Big Ramy can absolutely perfectly fit that role with his size and humble personality. Oh, no. I mean, that has nothing to do with the title of the post. I'm just sad that... Is it Michael Clark Duncan? Is that his name? I'm sad he passed away. The guy was a monster. He was huge. He had that same kind of personality that Ramy gives off. So, rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I have wondered, like, Ramy looks like a Greek god. I've always kind of wondered if he's not gonna find some Hollywood success maybe when he's on his way down for bodybuilding, when he's stepping down. Shanique Grant, second place woman's physique. I heard this was controversial. That, I mean, yeah, that looks... Look at her... Yeah, I know, it was quite a few years ago that he passed away. Look, I heard that people thought that she really should have won. I didn't watch the woman's physique. I was doing something else at the time. But, I mean, if that was a controversial win that she didn't win, that's a shame. Because, I mean, look at those muscles. Look at the indent between her abs. That's incredible. Look at her quad. Like, look at the teardrops on her quads too. So if she deserved to win, then that's a shame that she didn't. I haven't seen the person who won either, so I have nothing to compare to really. But if that person is more impressive than this, then they probably deserved it. We already looked at the classic division a little bit. We haven't got to talk about the guy who got second quite a whole lot yet. But I mean, the guys are incredible looking. I'm glad that the classic division is a thing. I'm glad that they do that. That's a text post. That's a text post. I did like, in the vein of what this is asking, I liked Olympia in December. You know, it's Christmas time. I'm feeling festive, and then the Olympia comes around and I get to stare at this all day. Like, I love this right before Christmas. I don't know how the competitors would feel about it, though. And I don't know how they'll feel having less time if the Olympia moves back to September. But it almost didn't happen this year. They had to jump through so many hoops to get the event going. And I'm so glad they did, and I'm so thankful for all the people who run that show, because it was an incredible year. I mean, what am I going to say about this? Look at the quality. I don't think it's... I think people are reading into this too much. I think it's fine for guys to make it competitive on stage. It makes it more interesting. I don't mind when guys, you know, call out like this. It happened to Phil when he lost in 2018. He was called out on stage. It makes it exciting, in my opinion. Okay. We finally get to talk about 212 a bit. 212 isn't as popular on Reddit anyways. I thought there's the picture. 212, I think it gets a lot of flack because the guys are typically a bit shorter. This guy in this picture, he's 5 foot 2 inches, if I remember correctly. If you're taller than that, and for whatever reason, you're watching Jeff McBiceps the night after you win probably the biggest prize of your life, then I'm sorry if you're higher than 5'2". But I think he's 5'2". But I mean, without that, this guy still looks incredible. I know it was, a lot of people thought the second place guy was going to win again. I know a lot of people did think this guy deserved it, though. I don't think this is controversial, despite second place looking incredible. I don't know what the scorecard is like. I haven't looked at the scorecards for 212. I just like seeing impressive bodies. And this guy has an impressive body. It is a competitive event, right? And I think some people think that the guys are supposed to just go up on stage, flex a bit, and then leave. But it adds so much to a show for someone to put it all out there on the line, give themselves the chance, even, of it backfiring. Like, Phil got third, Brandon got second. Phil still took the time during the competition to call out Brandon's legs and bring attention to them, thinking, like, hey, you know, prove to me, prove to the crowd that you're better than me. And Brandon did that in the end. You know, it didn't work out for Phil to do that, but I mean, it makes it more exciting. It adds a little bit of depth to the competition. They're not just statues up there. They are actual living human beings, and I think making it interesting is fine. But yeah, I mean, incredible body. What more can you say? More Phil comparison photos. I think the Phil comparison photos are going to be popular, just because... I mean, why compare 20... Oh, I see why they're comparing 2018. 2018 is when he lost. I don't know. The lighting is different. The guy had two surgeries, I think, on his midsection. Imagine he was competing in this photo, in 2018's photo. The guy had 2 hernias, I'm pretty sure. You know how much it would probably hurt to suck in your stomach like that and pose like that and squeeze all of your muscles with hernias? I can't imagine how painful that was. So yeah, he looks thinner. Like, he kind of looks narrower overall. It's a bit less aesthetic in 2020. And I mean, he got second 2018. He got third 2020. That's probably why he dropped a spot. So I'm curious to see if Phil brings it back or if he steps down. I hope he brings it back. I think it would make it interesting if he brought it back. I think if Phil can bring it back and compete with Rami, if Rami comes in the same way he did last year, then it would be a great show. It would be a fantastic show, and I want to see it. We already looked at those photos. Maybe we underestimated Big Rami. This must have been before his win. I mean, I think we looked at this already, but look at the guy. I said it already. Look at his glute lines. Yeah, I know, 2 hernias, and yet he goes up there. Like, I think, you know, I do understand this is a bodybuilding competition. You want to be the most aesthetic person. And when he wasn't flexing, the midsection was out of control. But I do think, even though people rag on him so much for the way his midsection looked that year, you know, the credit that the guy deserves for going up there and posing the way he was like that, you know, I can't imagine the pain he was in. I don't blame him for a second. And you can see the roundness in his midsection here. Like, there's a little bit here, there's a little bit for Big Ramy too. Not Hottie. Hottie is flat as a board, because that's what Hottie does. But, like, you can see a bit of roundness. I get it. But yeah, you can see here why after night 1 everyone was kind of looking at Ramy like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have made this the Brandon and Phil show heading in, because these two guys showed up so well too. Like, Ramy had... I didn't mention this yet. Ramy was a special invite to the Olympia this year. He didn't qualify off his first show, which was early in the year, and then he was going to compete to arrive at the Olympia, and the guy got COVID. Ramy caught COVID. He had to drop out of the show that he was about to compete in because a few days out, he tested positive for COVID. And then he got the special invite, and like a month and a half later, after recovering from COVID, Ramy is on stage winning the Mr. Olympia. And Hottie, who second in the finals, 4th overall, Hottie Chupin got off the plane 2 days before the Olympia started. He's from Iran. He had a hell of a time getting a visa to even show up to the event in the first place. So 2 days beforehand, he had to train and like get everything ready so that he would get off a plane ride and pretty much compete immediately. These guys were prepping for weeks beforehand in the United States. This guy, second in the finals, he saw how shredded he was in those photos, like 2 days off of an airplane. This was such a crazy show for so many reasons. I'm just glad I'm glad we get to look at these photos. I'm glad it was so close this year. There's so much to talk about. Big Ramy's conditioning tonight. I've seen this photo. Look at the man's glutes. Look at the size of this man's booty. There's no fat on there. That's all muscle. He's thick. Look at the lines. Like, we've seen this from a different angle. But you can, like, look at his leg and compare it to Phil's leg, or William Bonac's leg. This guy got 5th, by the way. Like, he's a monster. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. Look at the thickness of this man's, like, entire lower body. Look at the wideness of this man's butt. Look at how wide his legs are, like side to side. How do you wear pants being that big? The criticism, like a criticism for Ramy, it's funny, he's had the criticism, your legs are too big, for so many years, because he's just a leg monster. There's no skipping leg day. He needed to start skipping leg day, I'm sure. I say that sarcastically. I'm sure he didn't skip leg day. But, like, he needed to reduce his leg size. And this picture here is reduced leg size Big Ramy. But, like, I could grab individual muscles on his leg, and to me that's absurd. Well-deserved win for him. When squat and deadlift is your only leg exercise. This doesn't look Olympia related. I mean, they've... I feel... I don't know what to feel about that. Breon 2018 versus 2020. This is what I was talking about earlier, where the guy introduced the vacuum pose. He looks a bit thinner in the waist. I think in 2018, I think he built up the sides a bit. I think that was probably a conscious choice. Lats look wider. Biceps maybe, no, I think it's just a lighting difference for the biceps. This is a stage, like this is like a full, like you can see the lighting difference just in the shade of the guy. I like his hair this year. What's crazy though is like this, like I said earlier, this guy is 40, and somehow he looks younger in his 2020 photo than his 2018 photo. I think that's crazy. But again, 3rd place, I don't think he should step in. Look at the improvement in his legs. Sorry, I just noticed. I just looked down. Like, look at the amount of size the guy's put on his legs in just 2 years. That's crazy. I don't think his legs were a weak point. Where was I? What do I think about the 2020 Phil Heath? I mean, we've talked about 2020 Phil Heath a lot. It's not fair to compare the guy to his pictures from 7 years ago. I mean, even keeping this much up, 7 years apart, it's pretty damn good. But you can see, you know, there's that same roundness in the midsection. His chest looks a lot better here, but that might be, no, he's just higher up. This picture is a little bit higher than the other one. I don't think there's a lot to analyze there. That's not a photo. Conditioned Rami. I think this is the same photo. It is. That booty. First callouts, classic physique. That's pretty small. I mean, we already... You know what? I do like this, though, because we see all the different poses, but, I mean, Chris... That's just a killer pose. Like, Breon can... Like, he looks good hitting that. I mean, I'd kill to look like that. I mean, I do look like that. Look at me, I'm Jeff McBiceps. But, Chris, it's just, you can't compete with it. It's, like, the guy looks like a cartoon of the perfect man. But that's a little bit small. Kai Green, yeah, I don't know. Kai Green hasn't competed for years. I liked Kai when he did. I wish he would either come back or don't come back and say it one way or the other, because he's always kind of teasing it. I like Kai still, but I think he needs to not. And this is men's physique. I don't follow it as much either, but those guys all still look... They do this thing, men's physique, when they pose. It's like they kind of like noodle arm for a bit between poses. It's not very appealing to me. I don't like watching it. I think the guys look incredible. I don't think that... I think some people view this as a lesser part of bodybuilding. I don't think it is. I think they look great. Their criticism is always their legs, but I mean, you can see the outline of the guy's leg. It's still there. I don't like their posing routines. I don't follow it quite as much as the other bodybuilding classes. I'm a bit... what's the anti-hipster who only follows the mainstream? I typically follow the open and the classic. I think they're exciting. And that's 2 whole pages of Mr. Olympia news. We've been talking about Mr. Olympia for almost an hour. I thought it'd be fun to look at the fitness subreddit too, because right now we're looking at the best of the best. And you tend to get, you know, a different flavor of content from fitness subreddit. I was gonna look at it, but honestly, I probably should have started with it, because nothing we see in there is gonna look good after looking at these guys for so long. Traditionalists? Yeah, maybe something like that. I like seeing gigantic dudes, and classic, you kind of like, you get beautiful big dudes, and open you get huge dudes. Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be anything better in the fitness sub. I don't even see pictures on the front page. It looks like it's just, what am I even looking at? Is this really no one? It's only their weekly threads? Okay, never mind. We're not even looking at fitness subreddit. Not even worth it. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna go to new. I'm gonna see what's new in bodybuilding. We'll scroll through here really fast, see if it's any different. And then we'll call it a day. I'm seeing a lot of purple, so I think we've seen a lot of it. But I don't want to miss anything. Favorite pick of Phil. You know what? I'm actually excited about this, because I want to see some... There's been a lot of ragging on Phil. I don't think I've been harsh with Phil, but I think I've talked about people's opinions on his midsection a lot. You know, the guy, I mean, look at the, like, the striations in his shoulders, his arms. I don't think his midsection looks great here either. I don't think it's it's not a very complimentary photo of his midsection. But it does a great job showing off the rest of Phil. He's still a 7-time winner. You don't win 7 times by accident, you know. Get some water in me. Since bodybuilding is hot at the moment, let me make you laugh a little. Please do. Why? What makes somebody look at a photo of a bodybuilder and this is what crosses their mind? Like, there's a lot of ways you could edit these guys. Normally it's the, oh look, they have small legs. But they made the man the letter T. Or the letter Y. But why stretch him out like that? I would love to know the thought process of the person who made this photo. I'd like to know what they were thinking. Oh, I guess no one else laughed. I kinda liked it. I kinda like it. Yeah, cursed, exactly. It's not as unfunny as these people make it sound. Maybe I'm just immature. I think, you know what? Breon hitting the best vacuum. Oh, it's a video. I hope I'm allowed to show this. Hit the vacuum. There it is. Yeah, that's nice. Let's get rid of that. Sean Clarita backstage. Jeez, that's a big boy. He's not conditioned at all, but that's a very big boy. Like, if you think about the lines we were seeing in every other guy, this guy is none of that, but that's a big boy. Craziness. Big Ramy at age 25. Ooh. I mean, the guy was... He's not as big as he is now, but he's still pretty huge then. Means he's been bodybuilding a long time, though. How old is Big Ramy? I have no idea. You don't have to like the gift. I think that's the same photo we've seen. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put on the where's my favorite picture? Where's my favorite picture? Where is it? Where's the booty shot? No, I'll go with this one. Alright, I'm gonna put this up just as a good way to, just as something for you to look at while the stream ends. You know, thank you so much, Shady, Vi, anyone else who's here. I appreciate you guys chatting it up with me. I hope you had a good time staring at these guys, because I know I sure as heck did. That was great. I've been so excited to talk about that. I'm gonna be... What's tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm live again, same time. It's not gonna be bodybuilders. As much as I want it to be this every day, there's not enough content. The Olympia's over, so it's gonna be a huge drought now. And I'm sad about it. But we did have the most hype Olympia I've seen in a very long time this year. And I'm glad we got to talk about it. So, yeah. Thanks so much for coming. I'm gonna kind of do an awkward silence to end the stream. I've learned that apparently my streams are cutting off really fast, so I'm gonna let this kind of fade into silence. I'm gonna let it sit for a bit, and you might see like a very normal stream ending, but on my end it's gonna seem a little unbearable. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. You know, the fact that you're here, even though it's not your thing, you're expanding your horizons, you're looking at new things, and I respect that. It means a lot even more that you stuck around. Yeah, bodybuilding, it's great. It's a whole new world. It's really freaky though, but it's certainly fun to look at guys who look like this, because I don't want to put myself through what you would need to do to look like this. Anyways, have a great night, guys. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna be back again tomorrow with I think it's Minecraft Monday. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for sticking around. It means a lot. Have a good night.